So in this session, we are going to study pitch training app. In order to understand what we mean by pitch training, imagine the following scenario. Suppose you are sitting near a harmonium or a piano and you play a key, any key, but for the sake of argument, let's say you play C, it may be C2, C3, C4, which in Indian system we call it a shadaj. Let us say we play the shadaj. Now let's say we close our eyes and hit any key at random, then a note will come out. The question is, are you able to recognize this note? If you are able to, then your ear is trained for pitch. If not, it needs training. So in this session, we are going to discuss one pitch training app which will provide this training. Now in our previous session, we have already studied the MATLAB app, how to use the screen for bringing buttons and other things, and also how to write code which is at the back end, that we have already studied. So we'll directly start with the design view for this app and discuss various buttons. So let us do that. So you can see, as in the previous app, here again we have got a edit numeric field in which the user can enter the base frequency. So this may be C2, C3, C4, whatever. In this case, this 261.63, which means it is C4, the middle C of a piano. Then you got a button here, generate shadaj. So when you click on this button, then a shadaj will be generated. Shadaj note is generated. Note that it is not yet played, but it is generated. Then you generate a random note. Which random note? Now this is a simple app, so we are generating random notes only from these 5, that is shadaj corresponding to C in the Western notation, Rishabh D, Gandhar E, Pancham G, and Dhaivat A. But once you understand the basic principles, this app can always be modified to take care of all the saptaks and all the notes. Right now we are sticking to only one saptak, and in that also we are sticking to these 5 notes. So this will explain the basics, and you can always extend the program. Alright. So we generate a random note which is any of these 5. Then what we do, we play shadaj. When we click on the button play shadaj, the shadaj will be played. Now the reason for doing this is that most of the people, including musicians, will be able to recognize the pitch only if the bass note is given to them. So unless they listen to the bass frequency or the bass pitch, they will not be able to recognize any random pitch that you play thereafter. There are a few rare people who are able to recognize the pitch without any reference, and we say that they have an ear which is perfect pitch, but they are rare. So most of the rest of them will require a reference. So therefore we first play shadaj, then we play the random note. Now the random note, we do not know what it is. So in our mind we can estimate, we can just remember it, or we can note it down. And then in order to check whether we are correct or not, we press the button display name of the note, and that will actually display the name. In this case it happens to be Rishabh. So it displays the Indian name as well as the Western name, so Rishabh or D. So then you will come to know whether your guess was correct or not. And you can repeatedly do this in order to train your ear. Alright. Now let us look at the various programs. So first of all, let us look at function generate shadaj button push. So you write global S here, and this is because in this function you are simply generating the note, which takes a certain amount of time, and later on you are going to play it. So that function will be different. Therefore this, in order that this shadaj that is generated here, in order that it is available in the other function, we have to declare it as a global variable. Alright. Then we read the F that was entered by the user in the numeric field, and that is app dot. So as in the last session, base frequency is our variable name, edit field dot value are the keywords, app dot is also the keyword. Again you make F equal to F by 2, and this also I had explained in the last session. I will repeat it here, that normally most of the people, when they give their reference note, they are talking about the middle octave or the Madhya Saptak. Whereas the way we have written our program, our reference note starts from the Mandra Saptak. That is why we divide F by 2. Then T is equal to 1 second. This is the note duration. This can be modified to suit your application. Then you generate the note S by calling the note G2 function, which we have already discussed in the last session. So when you click the generate Shadaj button, then the note S or the note Shadaj is generated. Alright. Then we need to generate a random note. So how do we do that? For that we have a generate random note button. When we push that, this program will be executed. So let us study this program. First of all, you have these two variables, global, that is note, which is a vector representing the note, and name is the variable of this note itself. And we need to make both of them global. Alright, we'll see that in a moment why it is necessary to do that. Global note, of course, is understandable because later on you are going to play the random note. So at that time this note should be available there. Similarly, after playing that, you want the correct name to be printed. So that is why you need to declare this also as global. Alright. Again, you set your frequency, that is from the numeric field value. Then F is equal to F by 2 as usual. But now we define a small n vector having values of 0, 2, 4, 7, 9. Now why we are choosing like this? Because 0, remember, in our note function corresponds to Shadaj, 2 corresponds to Shuddha Rishabh, then this is Gandhar, this is Pancham, and this is Dhaivat. In Western terms, this will be C, D, E, G and A. Alright, so that is your n. Then what we do, we want to generate a note number which is randomly choosing from these. So how do we do that? We first of all find the size, that is length of n. Now in this particular case we know that it is 5, but then someone who is modifying the program will include more notes. In that case it is good to have size variable which denotes the length of this n vector. Alright. Then you generate the index in a random fashion. So random integer size. What does it mean? It will generate an integer which falls between 1 to size. In this case, size has a value 5. Therefore, it will generate a random integer having value either 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. That is what it will generate. Once this index is generated, then you are ready to generate your note number. So n1 is n followed by index. So remember, if index is 1, n1 is going to be 0. If index is 2, n1 is going to be 2, which corresponds to Rishabh, and so on. So once n1 is obtained, you can generate your note by supplying n1 as the parameter to the note function. Alright. Now once you have generated this note, we would like to store the name of this note, whether it is Shadaj, whether it is Rishabh, and so on. So we use the switch function. This switch function is available in many of the programming languages. So most of you who are accustomed to program will understand this. Let me explain it in any case. So switch index. So what this will do, case 1. So if index is equal to 1, it will store Shadaj in name. So it will store Shadaj as well as C, which is the Western name. But if the index was 2, remember this is Rishabh, so it will store Rishabh in the name. So at the end of this switch statement, what will happen is name will have the appropriate value. So that is your function for generating the random note. Okay. Then we have play Shadaj function, that is straightforward. You have global S, and then you send this, S is already generated, remember. So global S fetches this S, and then you send it to the sound card through the sound command. So sound S followed by the sampling rate. So this is as usual. Then you got play random note function. So again it is similar, global note, and then you send this note to the sound card through the sound function, sound note followed by the sampling rate. And finally you want to find out what was the random note, what is the name of the random note. So you require that. So you got a display name of note button for that, and this is the this is the program for that. So global name, remember in our one of the earlier functions, name was already defined, it's already available. What is the name of the random note? That's already available. So we just want to print it in the label which we have named as name note. So understand, if you look at this particular statement, app dot is a keyword, name note is a variable that is under your control. You can give it some different name. Label is again a keyword, a must. Dot text is again keywords equal to name. So name was already fetched by the earlier program. So that will now go to the label, and the label will display the correct name. So you can now check against your assumed pitch with the actual pitch. All right. So we are now ready to do the demonstration, which I have video recorded earlier. So let me play that. So first of all, base frequency is entered. So in this case 261.63, that is the middle C of the piano, C4. We call it a shadaj, generate shadaj. Then click on the generate a random note, play shadaj. Now play random note, estimate and display. So in this case it was Pancham, that is G in the western. Let's generate another random note keeping the shadaj fixed. Play shadaj again, play random note and display. So in this case it is shadaj itself. Again we generate a new random note, play shadaj, play the random note, and in this case it happens to be Pancham. So that gives you a demo. And remember, this was a simple app in which we were trying to recognize any of the 5 notes. But you can always extend this program in order to include all the saptaks, that is the Mandra saptak, Madhya saptak and the Tar saptak, or lower octave, middle octave and the upper octave. You can do that. But once you have understood this basic, you should be able to easily extend this program. And that's all in this session.